All right, so um, this is a device that I'm trying to build to basically create kind of like a retracting entryway for the house. The idea is that if you don't know the password and you try and get into the house, then you're basically just going to fall into this pit of lava, which goes the whole way around. And you won't be able to jump across because ideally there will be a couple of doors here which also won't open. So there'll be a retracting couple of blocks here and also the doors. And the rest of the house will have a wall. So you won't be able to just jump across because this will be built up as a wall. So, and the way I'm doing that is using this contraption thing that I've built. This is all part of the same circuit except for this bit that was a test. Oh, Jesus Christ. The freaking llama and a creeper have ended up inside. Where's the dude? Where's the trader guy? What the hell? Anyway, whatever. It should still work. So I'll try and explain this in sort of like different parts. So the idea is that this right side here is the outside of the house, so that will be on the other side of the red line, so somewhere over here. And then most of this will be underground, and then on the inside of the house part there'll be kind of like a button like this, so that's the inside of the house there. I think the vast majority of it will actually be underground on the outside of the lava, and then only a little bit of the circuit will be on the actual inside of the house. But all right, this is how it works. So basically, to get in, you have to get the password correct, and you also have to flick a switch, or in this case, like just flick the lever across. I'm not sure yet whether it'll be a button or a lever, but I think probably a lever at this stage. So the way that you set the password is that you have to have the correct block, and you put one of that block inside there, and that will toggle this part of the circuit and turn that on. And then if you get it right and you flip the switch, then that will trigger the mechanism. And the mechanism is, so this is for these are the two blocks that will be making up the bridge, which will be here. So sort of it'll be like that. So those two blocks are that bridge. And they basically, it's a two-step sort of thing. Let me just turn the weather back to clear. So it's a two-step thing. They retract downwards, and then they also retract back into the wall. So I can actually show you how that works here. Hopefully, maybe not. I haven't connected this part. Let me just do that. Is that gonna work? Let me see. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, I'll fix that later. But God damn it. I think if I put that down, it should work. There we go. So you can see that it pushed out and then up, and then it goes down and then back. And then this part here is like where the pit of lava is down the bottom. So, all right, so how it works. So basically, this bit is called a item detector. And the way that it works is that this crate down the bottom, actually the part that's more important is this. So this has got a hopper, this has a maximum capacity of 22 items in this part here. So if you add up 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 6, that's 22. And whenever you add one extra item, it'll drop that item into the crate below. And when it does that, when that actually happens, when that activates, you'll see that the torch here on the left just turns off for like 1 second and then turns back on like that. I won't explain all this part, but essentially the double hopper system here, like where it's got one hopper down there, another hopper here, is that all of this will be buried except for the top part. So from here downwards, you won't actually see it because it'll be underground. Sort of like if you can imagine it like that. That's underground, and all you'll see is this, and you won't actually know what the item is when you're here at this level. So you can't just put like that in and then expect it to work. So it won't actually accept it. So that's kind of how that works. When it sends that pulse, so when it turns off for a second and comes down here, it goes into this machine. This here, all that's doing is inverting the signal. So when it's on the left side, it'll be off on the right, as it is now. If it's off on the left side, it'll be on the right side. So if I do that, it's off there and it'll be on that side. So when that turns off, this will turn on and it'll send a pulse into this device here. This is called a T flip-flop. So what it does is it takes a single pulse and then toggles the output of the other side. So if it's on at the moment and I say I do that, so that quickly toggled this on and off. You can see how it just like flicks like that. That will basically send either a completely off signal or a completely on signal out of the other side, and it toggles based on that. And then this side is just a switch. This device here is it's called a AND gate. It's a logic gate. So when both signals are on, then the output will be on. So you can see that only one signal is on at the moment. If I turn the other signal on, then the output is on. But only if both signals are on will it actually send an output of on. So that just controls like those two inputs there. From this part onwards, we can kind of consider this as a separate thing. So if I just put a torch there, you'll see that part of this circuit is on and the other part is off. So the first part of the circuit is on, and then actually the second part, is that off because it's too far away? I think it is. Oh, sorry, no, that's off because it's coming from another direction. Ignore this part out here. This is the lever for the input on the other side of the door. So if I'm in the house, I would trigger that lever there, and that would override this basically, and it would flick. It would actually trigger the device to go up. But what it doesn't do is allow me to reset the circuit. So that's kind of what this is for out here. So if someone has opened the door from the outside and I'm on the inside and I want to reset the outside circuit, I can do that. Oh, except it didn't bloody work. Probably because it needs a repeater. So we'll just put a repeater here. I think that should do it. Yeah, there you go. So, except that the inside one is what switched off. Okay, something's wrong with that part over there, but I'll have to fix that later. So when this signal is on this side, what it's doing is it's powering these pistons here, and they're on a delay. So you can basically set the delay of the signal coming out of a repeater. These are called repeaters. So what they do is they retransmit the same signal that's coming in on one side, on the other side, but they regenerate the strength of it. And you can control how much delay there is for that repetition to happen. So in this case, this is 1 tick, that's 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks. So that's the slowest setting that both of them can be on. And what they're doing is, so actually I don't even think that this is needed. What they're doing is powering all of those pistons there to push this whole system out. So these are 2 pistons and the blocks on top. They're getting pushed out from there. These are sticky pistons, that's why they stick to them. And then when those blocks there are pushed forward, then they, if we just, I'm going to turn this off so you can see what's underneath. So when they're pushed out, they'll sit on top of these 2 redstone torches there. And this is kind of like an inverted signal. So when this part is on, then this part of the system is off, which means that these torches will be on because these are inverter blocks. So when the signal is on, these are off. When the signal is off, these are on. And we want them to be on when this part is pushed out so that these pistons will activate and push these 2 blocks on top, push them up. So you can see that they turn on and these get pushed up. Now, there's a bit of an interesting thing here. So these, sorry, not that one. There's actually no repeaters on this second part of the circuit here because we want that to react immediately. So we want to have whatever signal is coming from the input to be immediately affecting this part of the circuit, which means we want these redstone torches to turn off immediately after we flick the switch, which they do. And the reason for that is that we want these pistons to retract before these pistons retract, because if these pistons are still moving when this retracts, then this won't actually bring those pistons back with it. So you can see what happens if I put these to 1 tick, that that will break. So you'll see that those have retracted, but they haven't been pulled back by these pistons. So we need to have that delay on these for that to work. And we want no delay on this part of the circuit. But you see that this turns off, which turns them on. That's for extending, and then they turn off when this turns on, which means those pistons retract, and then those pistons retract 4 ticks later, which brings the whole system back. And that's more or less it. This is a system that just generates a 1 tick pulse. So when we click that button, it sends a pulse down. The issue is that it actually sends 2 pulses at the moment. So we need it to kind of stay in one mode. I'll be fixing that later, but more or less it's done. What I need to do next is try and make it much more compact than it is, because I need to fit all of this part. The entire thing needs to fit underground except for a couple of things. One of them is this button, which needs to be probably somewhere on the inside wall. Maybe like if we have another block here, it'll be on the inside of that wall. This part obviously will be the little bridge, like these blocks. And then on the outside, we'll see this chest and a switch somewhere next to it. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to build, and that's all just kind of like the front door security system. I haven't started any of the rest of the house, so yeah.